Alrighty, welcome to another episode of the FitBod Blueprint. Phil and Tyler are coming at you as always. Tyler, ¿cómo estás?
Bien. I really should have answered in French, but my French isn't the greatest either.
Que magnifique.
Yeah. You got it.
That's it. I can,
Yeah,
I
that's
can also
about
I can
it. Yeah,
order a
yeah,
baguette and vino. That's it.
yeah. How about you? You doing good?
Yo soy así. Yeah, just honestly, I have
Yeah,
severe cabin fever because it has been just rainy and
yeah,
I am ready. It's like the Kid Rock Sheryl Crow song. I ain't seen the sunshine in 3 damn days right now.
yeah,
So I'm needing a little vitamin D. But
yeah. I hear
anyways,
you. I hear you.
other than that, life is good, man.
Good, good. I'm happy to hear, man. I'm excited about today's topic.
Likewise. So today we are covering glycolysis. Kind of, hey, what exactly is it? And for those already going, puh, nerds, yes, deal with it. But we're gonna go over what exactly is glycolysis, why you should be keeping your carbs high in a fat loss phase compared to what a lot of people might be thinking for how to successfully lose body fat, how it fuels your body. So Tyler, let's get rolling, man. Let's get rolling. Explain our energy systems.
So, I mean, essentially what glycolysis is going to be is it's just going to be breaking down glucose, carbohydrates, into what is called then pyruvate, and then into ATP, which is, I'm going to bumble these big words, so please forgive me, but adenosine triphosphate, which is then our main mode of energy that we use. So ATP. So if you are lifting some weights, that is what our body is going through. And we do have two different energy systems. We have anaerobic and we do have aerobic. So just real quick, anaerobic does not require oxygen to continue to basically use, right? And so again, kind of coming back to a short burst of lifting weights or a 15, 20, maybe a 30-second sprint of that nature, the body's quickly just turning over and using your ATP and going through that glycolysis. Aerobic, this is now where we're coming into requiring oxygen to keep going. So, this is where you are going to be getting past that 30 seconds, 1 minute, 2 minutes, your longer runs. And so your glucose, your carbohydrates, these are going to be fairly important to either or process. You're going to be able to maintain a high level of intensity.
Right. So think about it like this: when your ATP reserves dry up after heavy lift or some shorter sprints, like anything that's like 10 seconds to like maybe 2 minutes, right? After your ATP reserves dry up, your body's going to flip the switch to glycolysis, and it's like moving from using regular like nitrous. Like, think about a car. Hey, if you're using nitrous, you're gonna boom, go fast, go hard, right out the gate. And then you're switching over to you're running on your regular gas that you got from your 7-Eleven or your Sunoco or Buc-ee's. God, I love Buc-ee's.
Those are like the really big gas stations, right?
Huge.
Like a city block.
It's imagine if you had enough gas pumps to basically cover an entire like Walmart. But
Yeah.
then you also, instead of having a little dinky gas station with like, yeah, we got some candy bars and chips and sodas that you can buy, it was like a smaller Walmart as that.
Nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
dude,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
got to go to Buc-ee's.
Yes.
But yeah, so basically ATP, your body's flipping the metabolic switch happens whenever your ATP reserves dry up. Your body flips the switch to glycolysis. It's basically moving from, hey, I'm a car drag racing, going down a quarter mile as fast as I can. I'm using nitrous, to, okay, the run is over. Now I'm just going to use regular gas. So if you're going for like a sustained jog at a lower intensity, or you're doing a walk, think of it as you are using just regular fuel. But if you are hauling ass on a drag strip, you're using nitrous.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and I mean,
Glycolysis is providing the quick energy without needing oxygen. So that means your body can keep working even after you're gasping for air. Now your body needs oxygen. Now you're getting in. Now you're switching over.
and like, I mean, for anyone who has ever, let's say, gone for a longer run, I mean, that's the reason, let's say that first 5 to 10 minutes, it always feels the hardest, right? It's because your body's catching up. It's not necessarily using that oxygen yet. And then once you kind of hit that 10-minute mark, all of a sudden you kind of find, oh, like I can go, because now the rate of turnover has reached kind of that level point where that aerobic system has now kind of fully taken over. And so now we are getting that glycolysis, the lactate removal, the pyruvate coming in, and the body's able to operate, at a homeostatic static level, if you will, when we're exercising. Mm-hmm. That's why no matter how fit you are, you're going to feel a little winded going upstairs. Like your body's like, oh, I'm exercising. Time to start getting the process going. Don't worry. It doesn't say you're unfit.
Right. Like, especially, so it's funny. I remember I was, it was my very first ever 5K, because, these colors don't run, but,
same.
I was training for my first 5K, and I remember I went to a hockey game like the night before.
Yeah.
And, but I grew up calling it the Ice Palace. I'm trying to think of what it is where the Lightning play. Amalie Arena. Okay, so they renamed it to Amalie Arena, but back in the day it was called the Ice Palace. Yeah. What a way more badass name.
Yeah, I know.
But I remember we parked in the back of the arena, and then we walked up these stairs, and the stairs ended up being like basically 3 stories, because it's also like they have the parking garage under the arena there. Right. So I remember walking up, it's like 3 stairs, and I'm like, oh no, I'm supposed to run a 5K tomorrow for the first time ever. I'm getting to the top of the stairs, and I'm like, I feel like you remember? Do you remember in the movie Jumanji, whenever the herd would go through, and you had that one slower rhino at the very end? Like, I thought that was going to be me the next day. I was like, oh no,
I'm in trouble. Yeah.
What have I done? And then you realize, well, wait a minute. I've been training for running on essentially a flat ground.
Yes.
I've not been training to get more efficient at moving upstairs, especially whenever it's 3 flights in a row. And the house I am in now is the only 2-story I have ever lived in.
Okay.
So I was used to flat houses too. like even me. So I know I'm getting a little off topic here, but even for me, like whenever I'd go to my friends' houses, or like whenever I finally got into high school and like we had a first floor and a second floor, like I'd see everybody go down the stairs super fast, and I'm like, whoa, man, I'm not going down the stairs that fast.
Yeah, slow roll. Yeah.
Well, I had to slow myself, or I'd roll myself down the stairs.
Yeah.
Think about this, with your fuel source, like your intensity is going to determine your breathing rate. Okay. And your breathing rate is going to determine whether or not you're actually getting enough oxygen in. So you're going to be either burning primarily carbohydrates, which is that higher intensity, like Tyler was saying, like, hey, you're not really getting in full breaths of air. Like if you think about somebody doing a sprint, I mean, those are short, shallow, because they're only doing that for like 10 to 30 seconds. Yeah. Like think about like a world record Olympic level sprinter. Think Usain Bolt. He's not getting that deep, hyper oxygenated breath of air of like, and then having the chance for the oxygen to actually stay in his bloodstream. So whenever the body is registering like, oh crap, we're running, we're doing something that is physically demanding, the quickest, most available form of fuel is going to be glucose, which is going to come from your carbohydrates. Now, let's apply this to fat loss. When we're aiming for fat loss, and I'm saying fat loss intentionally instead of saying weight loss, because you can lose weight and you can lose muscle, and that would, if you lost 3 pounds of muscle, you would lose 3 pounds of body weight. That's not what we're after. When we're in a fat loss phase, the goal should be to keep as much lean tissue as possible. Now, I'm sure everybody has heard the phrase, if you don't use it, you lose it. Your muscles are the exact same way. It's called atrophy. It's called sarcopenia. If you're older, we want to avoid any type of muscle tissue loss. So one of the best things you can do is stimulate your body to recognize, I need this. So whenever you're trying to keep that muscle, this is why we're big proponents of, you should be lifting weights. And whenever we say lifting weights, we don't mean like, oh, hey, pick up the little 2-pound dumbbell and rip a set of like 20 curls that, let's be honest, you're not tired from that.
Yeah.
My 5-year-old could pick up that dumbbell. In fact, my 5-year-old works out with a freaking 10-pound dumbbell. He weighs 40 pounds. So, I mean, think about that. Like, he's curling 25% of his body weight. That's pretty awesome. I might have to,
it's pretty strong.
I might have to drug test him. Test him.
Yeah.
So anyways, if you are lifting weights, you should be lifting with good intensity. If you're lifting, you're doing something that is intensely demanding, you're not getting in those super deep breaths. Now, we want you to breathe. We want you to properly brace your abdomen while you're doing most of your lifts to avoid a hernia. But that is going to naturally make that breath just a little bit shorter. So we want to be pushing ourselves. We want to be working hard. So the fuel source that's going to be used for a lifting session is carbohydrates. You want your carbs so that you can train, so that you give the stimulus to keep your muscle, so that you have more active tissue, not just a fatty tissue that's there for reserve. You want muscle because it's going to increase your metabolism. It's going to also improve your overall aesthetics. It's also going to improve your quality of life. You're going to live more pain-free and with less restrictions is the essential nuts and bolts.
Yeah.
So you want to be creating some degree of stress of, hey, I am doing high intensity things so that you're using your carbohydrates up for the activity. And then whenever you're depleted from carbs, well, your body has another fuel source to run off of, which is fat. And that's what we're after.
Yes, that is both. Yeah. Just a couple of things to maybe just, expand on there. This is it. I mean, I know this could be a whole podcast as well, but I do believe that this is where nutrient timing is still important. And structuring carbs in and around your workouts is important, right? Especially in a fat loss phase of, I know the rule of thumb has always been 25%. And I think, it's just different for everyone, but I still think having those in and around your workouts in a fat loss phase to really be able to maintain the intensity of your workouts and your recovery post-workout is going to be important, right? Secondly, and people are always surprised at this, stop believing the calories burned on your watch.
Yes.
It's not as much as you think. And 2, it's not fat. You're burning carbs, right? And we've kind of already been covering this. Like, we have data, a standard 60-minute training session of lifting, about 250 calories. And again, your primary fuel source is carbohydrates. So we're not even burning fat here, right? So we also need to throw that out. I can't stand that. Go ahead.
So I want to jump in on this. This was like one of my big eye-opening moments. So Tyler, do you remember back in like 2010 to 2012, like the heart rate monitor with the chest strap, like Polar was like
I worked at a job where it was like mandatory for clients to have it. So
yep. I remember I was so obsessed with that. Like, I had the watch. I made sure, like, every time I go to the gym, I'm burning 1,000 calories. Now, I'm 19 at the time, so this was like 2009, 2010, and I'm like, yes, this is awesome. I'm burning a crap ton of calories. I can keep eating. And I remember the slap in the face moment of, well, let's actually measure your oxygen coming in and coming out. Let's actually figure out how many calories are you burning. during this session. So, I mean, you get the big like CPAP looking mask with the hose hooked up and everything's getting measured. And I did a deadlift session. And at the
Yeah.
time, I am deadlifting anywhere from like 575 to probably around 645. And I remember like I'm working it up, I'm basing off of RP. I'm like, this is going to show how many calories I burn. I'm such an awesome machine. I am performance. I am the ideal male physique. This is what peak male performance looks like, baby. I'm doing like my best macho man, like hype myself up promo basically.
Yeah.
Every set, I'm like, they got to be watching this and they're seeing all the calories I'm burning. What a machine I am. I am a unit. Get done. My Polar watch says I burned like over 1,000 calories in like an hour and a half long between
Yeah.
warm-up sets, working sets, accessory work, right? Well, then they actually measure it in an hour and a half. And I got over 600 pounds on that deadlifting session.
Yeah.
I didn't even break 250 calories.
Yeah. Right. Exact. Yeah. That is a slap in the face.
Like a quarter of what I thought. So,
Yeah.
yes, those monitors, those estimations, that they are basing off of your carbohydrates burned. It's using just a generic formula of age, height, weight, gender. That's it.
Yeah. And I mean, I think that's why it is just so important to be able to talk to our clients and whoever's listening to this, like about some of the nuances of it, right? And like, yes, at the end of the day, calories in, calories out, it is just going to matter the most. But that doesn't mean that there aren't these types of nuances to think about and be educated on, because I think it also can just give people more confidence the more you know, right? Of, hey, we do need to put ourselves in a position of, not just in a calorie deficit, but where we are depleting our internal storages of carbohydrates that our body will rely on, right? And so we do have, when we're talking about this metabolic switch and going through the glycolysis and fat oxidization, when we create this deficit, yes, we're still keeping our carbohydrates high, but we're also going, well, this is a lot different than whatever your maintenance is, right? And we need to think about each individual and where your maintenance is and what is like a true deficit, right? Like for me, I can lose body fat on 275 grams of carbs a day. Like I can do that, right? My fats are 55, my protein's 175. For someone, that might be their maintenance. And so each person's metabolic rate is going to be different, but that doesn't mean that we're not, keeping those carbs as high. But to get back to going, okay, we make this shift in calories, right? We go, okay, we know what your maintenance is. Typically I like to start around a 300 to 350 calorie subtraction per day, because then I also like to look at the weekly average of how much we're going, as well as adding in some extra cardio. And that first week, we're making that shift, right? And I'll typically use the analogy of like a gas tank, right? So when we're at maintenance, we're at full. We make that change, we're looking to come down to about half. So we have about 30 to 40 grams of carbs stored in the liver that can be pulled upon. We have, I can't remember the exact numbers, but we have a certain amount that is stored in the muscle that the body can immediately pull on. And when we're at maintenance, we're constantly updating those storages, right? Well, as we get to that half, which takes about a week to get there, and we're not replenishing those storages, now we're actually making that shift metabolically to now we're using body fat as that main energy source. And guess what? That comes mainly at rest, which I think also blows people's mind away. When we're talking about our overall structure and glycolysis and carbs pre and post workout, we're taking advantage of that anaerobic pathway. We're making sure we can have peak performance. That was the word I was looking for earlier when I was kind of wondering where it was. Peak performance for our training. So we're taking advantage of that. Our recovery, we're taking advantage of what's called EPOC, so excess post-exercise energy consumption, which is now relying on body fat because now we're at rest. What we're trying to do here is, yes, calories in, calories out, but we're trying to optimize the biology here too, so that we're taking advantage of these things to go, yeah, it can be as simple as this, but we can actually do better by knowing some of these nuances. So I don't know if you have maybe anything to clarify, add there, but overall, that's what we're really looking to do when we're making this shift, because once we're there, yes, there is a slight adaptation at the beginning, around 10%. So you might need to make some tweaks within the first 3 to 4 weeks. But once you're there, again, genetics, individual, it's different for everyone. But you could get 3-4 months out of that with potentially not having to make too many adjustments to your food and or cardio, depending on the person and your level of consistency.
Right. And that's something that I feel like a lot of people are surprised by whenever they start working with a qualified coach. Okay. Is people are usually expecting that there's tweaks and adjustments getting made to their calories and their cardio, like literally every week or every other week. And it's like, no, once you're in a good groove, that calorie deficit should run you for somewhere between, a smaller person, it might be more like around 6 pounds, but a smaller person might be losing at like half a pound a week. So that should be like 12 weeks.
Yeah.
Or if you're just keep going, larger people might get one cut made and they might be on the same calories and the same cardio for 5-6 months. I've seen that several times. And it's like, hey, we're using a minimally effective dose. It's going to keep working. Your metabolism will eventually adapt. Like I hear that concern come up about, well, is my metabolism going to adapt? Yes, that's what it does, but it can also, it can adapt up, it can adapt down. The metabolism is dynamic. So you also want to take this into consideration with that metabolic adaptation, right? Let's use an extreme example. If someone is 500 pounds, let's say they need 8,000 calories a day to maintain that weight. Well, if they lost 300 pounds and they're now 200 pounds, they probably only need about 3,000 calories, 2,500 to 3,000 calories for a male to maintain that weight of 200 pounds. Yes, their metabolism adapted from maintenance is 8,000 calories, but now their maintenance is 2,500 to 3,000 calories a day. Yeah. That's what a healthy metabolism does. It's not like, well, once it was up to 8,000 calories, I can always go back to 8,000 calories. Yeah. You can, but there will be consequences. You will end up exactly where you started.
Yes.
So what I would just say is just one thing to add on is the fitter that you are, the more lean muscle that you have, the less amount of body fat that you have, the better that your body gets at switching between these systems without crashing. And that's what metabolic flexibility and metabolic conditioning is about, is your body's ability to move from carbohydrates as fuel source to fat as a fuel source. So if you're losing body fat and you're not finding that after you've dropped 10, 15 pounds, that these sessions they're still smoking you feel just completely wiped, it's a really good sign that you want to check your recovery. How's your sleep? How's your hydration? Are you under recovering? That's about my only other add-on.
Yeah. And, look at refeeds or even diet breaks as you go along here. And, maybe just like a quick note on refeeds, because I know some people can have a lot of questions about that. We do want to make sure that we are careful with our refeeds during a fat loss phase, because, once we do top up those internal storages, we do just have to go back through that process of, 5 days and depletion. So I always, like to start off conservative with most people, and then, check to see how the body responds 24, 48 hours, post refeed, and then tweak and adjust from there. But take your time with it. Like there is no need to rush. And I think when you have a bit better of an understanding of some of this biology behind fat loss, I think it can make things almost a little bit easier in terms of, here's what I need to do. Okay, 5 days, deplete. Let's go hard for whatever, 4, 5, 6 weeks. Hey, you know what? Going to take a diet break, replenish, back at it. And so it can certainly, I think, make the process maybe not easier, but maybe a little bit more confident on yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And on that note for refeeds, if you don't get a refeed for your first couple of weeks, it's it's because you probably just don't need one realistically in the first couple of weeks. That's a question that I've had a lot of clients ask over the years that, they are familiar with the concept. They'll ask, well, do I need a refeed? Well, not for the first couple of weeks. You're going to have enough glycogen stored. You're going to have enough fuel in a cutting phase that you don't need the refeed. Now, if it's more of a mental thing, I mean, talk to your coach about at least doing a single day refeed or maybe doing one untracked meal. Like for a lot of my clients, after they've been in a successful dieting phase for 2 weeks, like show me you can hit these calories for 2 weeks, and then we'll look at refeed strategies. But
Yeah.
for a lot of my clients, if we're not trying to do something like go on a bodybuilding stage or try to qualify for like nationals and powerlifting or something, hey, I would rather just give you a 2 hour window to have an untracked meal.
Yeah.
Hey, still get some carbs in on it. Like, don't go
Yeah.
full caveman and just eat as big of a tomahawk steak as you can.
Yeah.
Get a
Yeah.
potato with it. But
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
right,
I'll usually do it as like in your back pocket if you need it the first few weeks, right? And again, yeah, like you said, more as of a mental tool. I'm like, if you don't need it, then don't take it. But if all of a sudden something comes up where it's like, oh, I got to go out for dinner this week, I wasn't expecting that. Well, at least we've got this, and you can use this tool. So yeah, I think that's a good strategy.
all right. I thought about this would you rather uniquely for you, Tyler.
Uh-oh.
Would you rather take a 100-mile-an-hour slap shot to the shin with no pads, or you have to play goalie for one full period against a pro team, but the pro team is wearing rental skates and they're wearing gym clothes?
And I've got like full goalie gear.
You've got full goalie gear.
Goalie for sure. 100%. At least there's some padding, man. Oh, dude, like I mean, because I've taken plenty of shots to like my feet, and I mean, even at like drop-in beer league level, that frickin' hurts. So I couldn't I'm like, think about the worst time you've ever roasted your shin on something, and then multiply that by 100. That's what it would feel like.
Man, I knew you would love that one.
At least with gear, like yeah, like it's still like probably gonna hurt in certain areas, like if you still get it, like it doesn't cover everything, but at least like the force distribution is gonna be a lot better if you're taking something to like the chest, right? Like it's gonna distribute across the chest padding. So I would play goalie. I mean, chances are if I'm playing a pro team, even on rental skates, the puck's never even touching me, like because they would just score on every shot.
Just let him through.
Did you
I will
ever? Because
say,
I know Jackass. I think it was Jackass in one of their latest movies. They did this with I think it was PK Subban, where someone I think it might have been Steve-O. Like I don't think he fully dressed up as a goalie, but put on some of the gear and let PK rip slappers on him. It's scary.
yeah, that's my thing is like, you're talking about a pro team, like even defensemen like are going to have a hell of a slap shot on them. And that's terrifying. That is absolutely terrifying.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
like
Like I mean,
on one
like,
hand you
yeah,
go, hey, it's a full on period, right?
20 minutes.
20 minutes. If I can avoid taking a shot, and I guess thinking about my own rules, I didn't say that you have to be in the net the entire time.
Yeah, like, man, 100-mile-per-hour slap shot to unprotected, that's gonna shatter your shin. Like that, it will shatter your tibia and your fibia. Like you're done. Yeah,
Yeah, like it's a little tempting to be like, okay, one shot and I'm done, but then you realize the fallout of
yeah,
I'm not walking for like at least 6 months.
yeah, yeah. Like so, like at my current, my drop in group where we play once a week, we have an ex NHLer playing, and I mean, he maybe played one game in the NHL, a bunch in the NHL. So not even like you're good. Like, not even a full-time NHLer by any stretch of the imagination. And he's probably been removed now for, I don't know, 8-10 years. Plays at probably 50-60%. Still 100 times better than every single one of us on the ice, right? So again, think about taking from a pro player a legit.
Yeah. My buddy played in college, just like a little intramural league, and where they played at was also at the time where the Lightning practiced at. And he said that a couple of different times Chris Dingman would just drop in. And even though he'd been retired at that point for a couple of years, whenever he went, he wasn't even trying, and it was just crazy. His slap shot, it was crazy. His moves, how well he skated, how fast he skated. And they're like, we're in our late teens and early 20s, and he's just absolutely smoking us.
Yeah, you realize how bad you are.
All right. Well, thank you all for listening. Look, if you're unsure about any of this stuff, about, well, how do I get my body to switch gears from carbs to fat, to have the most efficient fat loss phase possible, or to have the most efficient building phase possible as well, reach out. This is what we're here for. We can help you with building a plan that works with your metabolism, not against it. So, for FitBod Blueprint, see ya!
See ya.